Well, we just wanted to check in with you, Coach, and just to see, how things are going. Maybe provide a little distraction. I don't know, but I think my biggest question for you right now is, how many episodes of Paw Patrol have you been watching?
Listen, I've been changing a lot of diapers, and I've been chasing my sons around. That's been the extent of it.
Perfect. Has William got you watching any kid shows with them?
His favorite show is Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Okay.
I'll watch it with him, but the problem is when he's watching that, it's as if nothing else is going on around him. He's locked in. It's like he's in a game. It's like he's in the fourth quarter and 1-point game.
How's Hannah and Leroy?
They're doing great. Leroy is about a month old. And I mean, Hannah's starting to now get a little more sleep at nights. Obviously she was up most of the time with Leroy, but they're both doing great.
Excellent. Well, Coach, it's been crazy the last 3-4 weeks, but an abrupt end to your first season as a head coach. Walk us through the atmosphere. What was it like in Vegas a couple weeks ago?
Well, I mean, first of all, we had really had a phenomenal week of practice. The guys were completely ready. They were locked in. I mean, the emotion and the focus of the training sessions were off the charts. And so we were excited to play a good Seattle team. We felt like the last time we played them at home, we had let one get away. And so we were excited for that. The bus ride going down to Vegas was, it was guys were focused. We stopped in St. George to get food. Everybody scattered. Guys went to Chick-fil-A and wherever else. But guys had one thing on the mind, basketball. So then we get there, and some really good practices there in Vegas too. The night before our game, we went to watch the UVU women's team play. And right after that, we got word that everything was postponed and that they may not allow fans or spectators into the arena for our game. Well, come to find out, we wake up the next morning and they cancel the whole thing. And so at that point, I felt devastated and really bad for our seniors. TJ Washington, Brandon Morley, E-Man. These are players that have worked their entire college career to have a chance to really make a statement. And so for it to end like that was sad. But there's a reason why. We understand that from a safety perspective, that's what had to happen, but it was sad.
Have you been keeping track or tabs with any of your colleagues and associates still in the NBA? Like what's going on with them?
Yeah. To be honest, I talked with Larry Nance, who I coached, talked with him a couple days ago about something weird, but I was asking him what it was like in the NBA. And obviously, NBA players right now, they have a lot of time on their hands. But Larry and his wife are doing great things. But yeah, I think it's whether it's the NBA, college basketball, or any industry, everything's grinding to a halt, and hopefully it picks up soon.
Now, what does that mean? What does this time period mean for you and your coaching staff? Is this affecting your recruiting, or what are you guys doing?
We're recruiting hard.
Okay.
We actually have some Zoom meetings set up with recruiting situations for next week. I want to talk about recruiting. I got myself in trouble 2 months ago for talking about specific recruits. So, but I'll speak in general terms, Brandon, and that is that we're recruiting some excellent players. And if we're able to secure some commitments from these players, it could be very, a lot of these guys could have a dramatic impact in their first year here at Utah Valley. So, we're watching a ton of tape. We're doing analysis on guys. We're having a lot of conversations. And, we're creating some cool videos to send out because right now, obviously, we can't bring anyone to campus. So we're doing everything we can in lieu of that to help put our best foot forward.
Excellent. In your press conference speech, Coach, you talked about your wife, Hannah, and if she was able to learn how to read a box score, you would try and learn some sort of musical piece. How are you holding up with that?
Well, I would say my son William is probably closer than I am. William goes to the piano, one or two times every other day, and he starts plucking away at the keys, and he has fun. I know he's going to know. He'll learn how to play the piano because Hannah's going to teach him, and I'll be in the background. I'll be a fly on the wall, and it's not like I'm going to learn it in a day, but over a few decades, I might be able to.
Okay. I mean, you do have some time on your hands right now.
Yeah, I mean, kind of recruiting. I mean, we're still working hard. I mean, we're still going hard. Staying in touch with our players, academics, planning for next season, film work, and then recruiting. I mean, we have a lot going on.
Now, were there any plans for the guys on the team in this offseason in the summertime? Were there any plans to do anything together as a team that are now going to be up in limbo?
Well, let me say this. We had one of the most generous donations in the history of UVU from doTERRA. Obviously an awesome company. You can see it. They have a lot of different locations, but you can see one of their main headquarters right off I-15. But doTERRA made a significant donation to the school and to a lot of different programs. And we were going to use a portion of our allocation to take our players and our staff over to Italy.
Oh, man.
To play against professional Italian teams. And the question is, why? Well, every college basketball team gets to do that every fourth year. UVU hasn't gone in 6 or 8 years. It's something I did when I was at Stanford. We went over there. I'll never forget going against some of these grown men, Italian players, and you have successes, you have failures, but it helps you realize what you have to do to get your game to a higher level. And it was that year where we made the Final Four 8 months later. And yeah, we were going to take the guys over there, play some great competition, and hopefully parlay that into that deep tournament run we've set as a goal.
So is that something that can be postponed due to this thing, or is it just altogether canceled?
Well, what I've decided is that we're going to wait till May 1st. We haven't booked any flights yet, but we're going to wait till May 1st. And if May 1st hits, and if it still looks bad, we'll postpone it until the following summer. But if May 1st hits, and if they're starting to get this thing under control, then we might look at it. I mean, obviously, it has to have the blessing of President Jimenez and Jared Sumption and Val Peterson, but we don't want to close the door on it yet.
You mentioned contact with your players. How is that going? Are you scheduling Zoom meetings with guys, calling, texting, just checking in on them?
I mean, so far we've been calling, texting, really staying in close touch. We'll probably schedule, a team-wide meeting. We'll probably use Zoom and we'll probably do that next week or early the following. Just, and talk a little bit about how everybody's holding up and do it as a group. But thus far, we've been doing it individually and staying in close contact.
Coach, as you made mention, I am wearing Laker jersey. It's a Magic Johnson jersey. It's my second Laker jersey. First was Eddie Jones, but my wife and I were watching a little documentary on Magic the other day, and there's one guy that I feel like is an unsung hero for the Lakers organization in Gary Vitti, and he's been around for a long time. And I know he had an impact with you and helping you, with your back and stuff. Did you make him a cake at one point?
I did. He thought I poisoned it. He thought I put X-Lax or something like that in the cake. But yeah, I made Gary Vitti got me better. I made him a cake. He couldn't believe it. He told me that was going to go into his book. Now, I know the book was published, but I haven't asked him yet if that made the book. But no, Gary's a great guy. Gary Vitti was there when Magic Johnson had his announcement of HIV positive. Gary Vitti was there when Kobe was drafted. He was there when Shaq was traded. Gary is kind of, an icon within the Lakers organization. He's a trusted friend of all of us. And Gary is someone who has meant a lot to me personally over the years.
Yeah, when I found that story, I thought it was pretty funny, and I think John Ireland was the one that had mentioned that. He said that that's his favorite story of you, is that just speaks to your character and how still, even though you're not there, that's a story that still gets tossed around, is that people miss your cakes, coach.
I made one cake. I made one cake while at the Lakers. They took on a lot of stuff, but I did make bread at the Timberwolves and brought that in sometimes. So the guys like that.
Okay, excellent. Coach, I was doing some research on you, and I noticed when you were in California, you had a passion for like the state parks and the national parks. Is that something that you're going to carry over while you're here in Utah?
I mean, I'm an outdoors guy. I grew up. My dad took us all to a lot of great, just outdoor adventure types things. Yosemite, Stanislaus Park in California, Lake Tahoe. And what happened was I was in business school and there were budget cuts. And all of a sudden, the state of California talked about closing down like 120 state parks.
Mm.
And so that was frustrating for me. So I made it a point to try to visit a lot of these parks. And, I was interviewing people, trying to get some public awareness about this. And then all of a sudden, the state of California came out and said, hey, we found $80 million in an account that we didn't know we had. And so we're going to keep the parks open. But no, I do love parks. My wife and I have been down to Zion's National Park. Actually, while we were dating, we went over to Great Basin National Park. We haven't done Arches yet, haven't done Moab yet, but obviously Utah is a place that has some amazing, just outdoor wonders. And so that's something that, especially as we have this young family that's growing, we want to take our sons and do some of these fun things, whether it's Angels Landing down in Zion's Park or do those from the headwaters all the way down to the bottom.
Now, Coach, we have some social media questions out for you. During this time of quarantine, are you more of a movie guy or are you more of a book guy?
I actually haven't watched a single movie during the quarantine.
Okay.
Between recruiting, doing my job, and really helping out with our newborn and William, I've got my hands full. But I am reading a book. I'm reading The Count of Monte Cristo, so that's a good book. Kind of pick that up at 9:00 every night and read it for 40 minutes, and it puts me to sleep. So that's a fun thing. And then, sometimes you just have to do something different. You can't be on the phone all day chasing recruits. You can't be watching tape all day. So for example, today I went out and I planted some seeds in the garden. I planted carrots, planted beets, and what else did I plant? Radishes. So threw some seeds in the ground.
Excellent. So now going from throwing some seeds into the ground for crops, if you were to proverbially plant seeds in the ground for recruits or for anybody that's thinking about coming to UVU, based off of your experience over the past year, what would you have to say to them?
Well, I think one of the things that we feel strongly about here at UVU is relationships of trust. And so a lot of the guys we've recruited, we've been on them for a long time. And we've obviously communicated with our recruits over text. We communicate with them over phone, handwritten letters, mailers, all types of things. Now, some players have come onto our radar screen in the last month. Others have been on our radar screen for the last year. But building a relationship of trust between players and coaches is a must. It's a must in every program I've been in, high school, college, the NBA. You have to have open communication and you have to be able to speak the truth. Coaches have to be able to speak the truth to players. Players have to be able to speak their truth to the coaches as well. And so that's something that's a bedrock, core, foundational principle that we live by in this program. And I think that, the relationships that we have with our guys are very strong.
What have you learned about yourself during this last year?
Well, I think I've learned really how much I care about the players, how much I care about the team's success. After a good win, a lot of times I can't sleep. I'm excited. You study tape. You want to see things that you can do better. You want to and feedback for the players to help them improve. After a loss, you're upset and you can't sleep. And so sometimes you're up almost all night, making notes, studying film, trying to find out which areas you have to chip away at, not only to win, but to do so many things the right way so that you can win with a comfortable margin. If you add up a rebounding, defending the 3-point line, transition defense, communication on defense. Even those 4 things, for example, that just are coming to my mind off the top of my head. But if you get good at all 4 of those, well, throughout the course of the game, those things are going to manifest themselves, and they're going to help you have a greater cushion in the game score-wise. And then if there's 3 or 4 other dimensions, if you can improve across all of those dimensions, well, the team gets better and better. And so those are the types of things that we look for: steady, incremental improvement.
Was the adjustment coming from the NBA back to the college game tougher, easier, about the same as you would expect it to be?
Hard to say. The college game is officiated differently than the NBA. That was an adjustment for me. The NBA, there's 30 teams, and all the officials entered in uniform across all the teams. In college, you have consortiums of officials that work specific conferences. You have some that work in the East, some that work in the West. And so you might see officials in the preseason, they might have a completely different style of officiating than the style that you're going to see during conference play. And so that was a big thing for me. Also, there were points of emphasis this year. The step back move, they called more travels on that. The spin move, they called more traveling there. And so, those nuances, I think, were some of the things that were things that were new for me.
Well, Coach, is there anything else that you would like to say to the UVU community or anybody else that's out there?
I'd just like to say I hope that everybody right now during this time is doing okay. This is a hard time. A lot of the students have either gone home or are living at home but still doing classes online. And for those that are struggling, I'm sorry. My heart goes out to you, and please let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
All right, Coach, and I'll keep an eye out for any more seeds I can throw your way to help with that little garden of yours.
Man, you got to throw the seeds your own way, and you got to put a seed in the ground, bro. You got to get that watering can out with some fertilizer and get that seed going.
If I had a yard, I would.
You don't need a yard. You just need some soil and a planter. You could have something the size of a bowl. Yeah, you can plant a tomato inside.
All right, Coach. I'll take you up on that. Thanks a lot, Coach. We know you're busy, so thank you.
Hey, Brandon, thanks for the time. And sorry I messed up on the earlier time too, man.
No, you're good, Coach. It's all good.
All right. Take care, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too.